I'm trying to reduce the size of. Okay, there we go. That'll work.
We're good to go. I just need to. Wanna, one thing about a 4K monitor, it always, even at the 100% zoom, it's really small. That's why you got to put it at 200% to be relevant, and it never defaults to that. I need to figure out if I can default to that.
Yeah, because I have mine. Well, I have a 1440p monitor, so mine always defaults to 125%.
See, that's not bad though. At 1440, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, but
But
I noticed that my camera picture is actually a lot better. It
mm-hmm.
looks way better than what it did, I guess, compared to last show. But let me look at maybe the lighting's different. I think that's because
So
even looking at it. Mm-hmm.
see, the thing is, I got two 1080p monitors, which is my gaming monitors, and I got a 4K monitor, which I don't mind gaming on, but it's only at 60 hertz.
Right.
And obviously, like when you look at it over here, like your cameras and all the other visuals look much better. And I really like. I want to get a high refresh rate monitor, but it's just too expensive right now to get a monitor like that 4K with high refresh. So
Yeah.
so
This
I'll probably get another
definitely.
1440p or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. We're just rambling on. We're not even doing the intro. Let's get it. Let's get it. We've been rambling. This is episode 226 of the First and Framerates podcast. Myself, DJ81. We also have well, I don't know if Bills is going to show up, but if he does, it's great. Other than that, we're going to just keep it rocking and rolling. If you haven't already, check out the Patreon and see what we have in store. I got some things in line for you guys probably by the end of the month. It's a lot of things I'm doing, but it's some things I want to do as far as the Patreon. You guys deserve it. We really appreciate everybody who has been supporting the Patreon. Also, everybody who has joined the if you don't mind, you can join the Discord as well. That link is down in the description. Also, I have another Discord. It's kind of a little off brand of the First and Frame Rates Discord. If you don't mind, you can go and check that out as well. Other than that, I don't have anything else outside of I've been gaming like crazy, but I go further than that when I do my intro. Today we're going to talk about Sam Darnold being traded.
Man, I
We'll
thought
talk.
this was your intro. I mean,
Nah,
your
I guess
intro
it
on the
was. I don't know.
show, you introducing yourself. I'm like, might as well just roll it all in one.
Might well do that, right?
Yeah.
Um, We're going to talk about Sam Darnold being traded. We're going to talk about the NCAA Final Four. We're going to talk about Paul Pierce. Well, I guess I can get into my intro. Like I said, I am VF Baller, and this is for the past few days I've been streaming Remnant of From the Ashes. I think that's what it's called. But it's a phenomenal game. I highly recommend it if you haven't gotten it already. If you do have a PlayStation, you can get it free on Game Pass. You can
Wow.
get it free on PlayStation Plus. I bought the game on Xbox though. I did not know it was on Game Pass. I'm not Game Pass, but I did it again on PlayStation Plus. But other than that, it's a phenomenal game. I highly recommend it. Go get it like yesterday. And I've been playing some Outriders, playing offline because online stuff is crazy. And that game is actually pretty good. I'm actually surprised that, outside of the online stuff, which I'm not going to say I have a problem with online because every time I did play, I was logged into their system. I just didn't play on the online campaign.
Mm.
But I like the mechanics of the game, and I'm playing it on a Xbox One S, and the performance is actually pretty good on that game. I'm actually surprised because I was kind of dreading playing any game on that because with the newer technology, I thought it was going to be a little limited. But no, Outriders is optimized very well for the base. I don't know about the base Xbox, but at least for the S, it's is optimized very well. I can imagine what it's like on the series consoles. So I'm having fun playing some games. Thanks everybody who's been coming through for the streams, and we're going to get into this content. DJ, how have you been this weekend? How you been doing?
Well, been doing good. And it was Easter weekend, so we didn't have any games to speak of, but I was gaming just like everyone else, playing Scum, reintroducing myself back into NHL 21, messing with Slaughters, and starting the playoff series, which I'm already up 2-0 on the Boston Bruins. So game 3 is going to be lit, to say the least. But Other than that, I've just been chilling. Oh, and good news, everybody! I will be getting the first dose of the vaccine tomorrow morning. Just to put it
My
out there.
wife was talking about she was getting the vaccine. She was because her job just her job is offering it to her, and she's thinking about getting it. And I know she's big on that because she likes to get a flu shot every year.
Yeah,
I'm still debating if I'm going to get it or not. I don't know yet, but I know she's getting it. She loves. I ain't gonna say she loves doing it, but she really is into that type of stuff. Like really wants to be, rid of all type of things that come her way. And I don't blame her. It's just
I,
I don't know. I feel a little different about it.
I had a friend that like I told her about it. She was like, "Oh, I'm excited for you to get this." I was like, "Oh, you're excited for me getting stabbed? That's a bit sadistic, if you want to know what that is." But yeah, so at least I know it's the 2-shot variety. It's Pfizer, by the way.
Pfizer, okay.
So getting the right one because I don't trust Moderna anyway. But so I think the first dosage is tomorrow morning, and then 3 weeks later, which is technically the end of this month, we'll be done with it. So
okay. No, don't get me wrong.
One more thing. Nats won today. Opening day. Guess who they beat?
Ain't the Braves like on 4 now?
Yes.
Like they're like looking real bad right now.
In walk-off fashion. They were up 2-0, and then they were up 4-2.
Yeah, the Braves looking a little suspect right now. All this firepower they talk about us having. I was like, all right,
well, they
sit here and watch.
They hit 4 home runs off of Max, so I'm like, they got their runs off. It's just they couldn't finish.
Yeah, typical ATL team, right?
Nah, typical.
No, that's Atlanta teams in general. That's typical Atlanta teams in general. I mean, that goes for the Hogs, Braves, and the Falcons. They get a lead and can't finish worth a damn.
Hey, what's up, Tadao? I see him.
What's going on, everybody? Glad to see you all. Yeah, glad to see you all here. Like I said, if you guys have not, few guys here, they are Patreon members. Pretty much everybody here is a Patreon member. If you guys have not already, if you're watching at a later time, you can go check out the Patreon. Like I said, I got some things in store for you guys. I do apologize. I said that before, but I've been very busy and I had a couple of things added on to what I've been doing, and especially with the other channel and stuff and the live streaming. But I need to get on my game. But there's just some moving and shaking I'm gonna have to do for that, because you guys, in all seriousness, you guys make this go, and without you guys, we'll just be sitting here talking to ourselves. So we really thank you for that. All right, let's get right into it. Which one you want to jump to first? You want to do the Final Four, or you want to talk about Sam Darnold or Paul Pierce? It doesn't matter.
Let's get Paul Pierce out the way.
All right, I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you jump on to that. What are your thoughts about that whole Instagram situation?
Okay, first of all, for those that are for some reason not aware of this, Paul Pierce posted on Instagram Live. He was at a party. I don't know if it was his place, at a friend's place, whatever. It looked like he was high, drunk, was like playing poker or whatever, and there was some strippers there twerking. That was basically the whole video. I'm like, there was more clips of that video, but that was basically what we saw. What resulted was him being fired by ESPN because for whatever reasons they deemed that was an inappropriate video to be shown by one of their employees. But underlying part of the story was that Rachel Nichols' name was brought up in that live stream by some random person in the chat. And even though the name wasn't acknowledged, all of a sudden the clip went viral and her name went viral on Twitter. So, and right now, Paul Pierce is an ex-employee of ESPN because he was fired yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, you know, stuff like that's going to happen. I mean, and I don't think he should have got fired for it. But nowadays, you look at a situation when your public life is out there so easily because of social media. It's not too many things you can do in your quote unquote private life anymore. Because I mean, somewhat, is it really your private life when you put it on social media? Yeah, it's private for what he did, but is it a private life when you put it out there to everybody else? I don't think he should have been fired for it, but I understand it. They claim that they're making the company look bad, with it, going viral and it's trending, and you got another employee, their name is out there, give that employee a bad reputation or whatever the case may be. I mean, that's just like how people are. It's just that, at the end of the day, that's just how it is. And do I condone it? No, but hey, it is what it is.
Well, to tell you the truth, Subliminary puts out a good point. He probably wanted to be fired. I bet he wanted to be fired too. It looked like he didn't give a damn. He clearly was not giving one single fuck about about posting it live on IG, and then just even after before we knew he was fired, he had posted a short video, a clip of him just laughing, like ha ha ha, smile, and then on top of that, you're talking about the video he posted, I think earlier today, where it was just like, look, I got bigger and better things coming. There's no need to fret. I'm like, no worries. I'm not worried about that bag. I got other bags to collect.
I got a feeling that it was probably the feeling was mutual, because a lot of people were saying that Paul Pierce was just not good at his job. And a lot of people, at ESPN probably knew the writing was on the wall. They probably tried to find a way just to get him fired. And this was the tipping point to say, hey, now we have a reason to. So the feeling was probably mutual. He probably knew that the writing was on the wall as well. I mean, because when I used to watch him on doing this thing, to me, it just seemed like he just did not. To me, his analysis just was not that good. Wow. So that's just my opinion. So I can understand where it probably was both ways. Where what Subliminary, he probably wanted to be, ESPN probably wanted to let him go, and they're like, all right, just give me a reason, So, like I said, I don't think he should have been fired over it, but I get it. Is nowadays, if this happened back in the 90s, if it happened in the early 2000s, he would have probably still, would have been employed, or nobody would have probably thought it was a big deal. But like I said, nowadays, you got social media, and it really shines the light on anything that you do. So you have to be careful about the things you say on social media, say and do. Which reminds me, my mom, she called me out on Twitter today, told me I need to call her. I don't know if anybody saw that. My mom called me out. Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, my mom called me out like, you're not busy. You need to call me. I haven't called my mom in a while. So,
wow.
Yeah, she put me out on blast. She put me on blast on Twitter today. So that's one of the reasons why I don't do much on Twitter, because my mom is on Twitter. So, I gotta, even though I'm in my late 30s, I'm still respectable of her, because I don't want to get cussed out, possibly slapped. But nevertheless, so what do you think is going to happen to Paul Pierce now? You think he's going to get another job somewhere else, or you think he's just going to live the life of a former NBA basketball star and just live off what he made already?
I think low key, I believe he has an investment in whatever he was high off of. He was high as a kite in that.
Oh yeah, he was lit. He was up there, bro.
He's got some investments lined up. I'm like, I figure he's a smart guy when it comes to money. I'm like, he may not be, all good analytically, but he's probably got some investment. He probably invested in like a cannabis dispensary or something like that, and is probably making bank off of that. Off of all the, I don't know if he was a big spender in the first place as far as with his money. So, if he's gonna live off the rest of his fortunes from the NBA and this investment, then he can be free. He can post all the IG live video of, and there was one point that somebody did bring up. They posted earlier. They were saying that we weren't thinking about the fact that what was his wife and his kids thinking about this.
That is a good point.
But here's the thing. This is what I'm thinking. They probably knew this about him for quite some time. They've been married for how long? She probably is like, oh, he's just being Paul. He's just being who I already knew, Paul Pierce. I'm like, he likes to party. He's at his results. He's not doing anything illegal. He's not making me look bad. He's not cheating. I'm like, he's not. Like, he's just doing what men tend to do with IG Live as the media platform. So I'm like, hell, if the role was reversed, we would be questioning whatever female. If Rachel Nichols was the one that went on IG Live, now it may go a little different, but I'm just saying
goes on IG Live with a bunch of dudes. Yeah, let's not talk over.
If Rachel Nichols was down in Magic City someplace,
Magic City, they should be at Magic City.
Mm-hmm.
Should be somewhere else if it's a bunch of guys. But
hey, I'm just saying it doesn't matter to them.
Well, you're right. I don't know. I just think Paul Pierce is just gonna. You know, this type of publicity does render a job somewhere, believe it or not. I mean, you know, it may not be exactly what he was doing, but he'll pop up somewhere else in some form of media and probably talking about sports again or whatever the case. I don't think it's going to be like the end of the world or like he's going to be blacklisted and can't get a job. Whether it be on television or it be like some streaming podcast or something on YouTube, this Instagram live probably catapulted him into another dimension as far as notoriety. He'll get some type of gig.
Wait a minute, hold up. Did you just say dimension or dementia?
No, both.
Because some people question whether he's having a midlife crisis right now.
No, I'm about to say both.
So
Quaface, speaking of Rachel Nichols, he just said, I'm going to say girls loves girls. Okay. Yeah, hey. You're right. Love
is love. And so is bar tab.
I don't know. I just think at the end of the day, it was. I think it was probably like a mutual move for him to get booted off of ESPN. I get it. You know, it's probably a one reason that both parted ways and say, hey, this is the reason why you're gonna get up out of here. And he was like, okay, I'm out. And we'll see what happens within. I'll see what. Maybe the NBA Finals or basketball season next year. You'll probably have some other gig by then, between one of the two.
Yeah, that or getting roasted again for calling out a wrong statistic or being called out. What was it? Who was that called him out? And it was just like, yeah, Dwayne Wade has done this, you haven't done that. Dwayne Wade has done this 3 times, you haven't done it at all. And blah, 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 blah.
I told you he's a bad analyst. He really is. I don't think he's good at being an analyst, but you know. And that's how they do it.
He couldn't even defend himself because it's like you weren't able to accomplish those things, so you're not as great as you think you are.
Right. Boy. All right. Well, let's jump off of that. I mean, we kind of got our point across to that. Hopefully, you know, we'll see you. I think he rears his head up somewhere around NBA Finals or next season basketball. He'll show up somewhere talking about basketball and nobody want to listen.
He'll be commentating G League games.
Yeah, probably something like that. All right, let's get into Sam Darnold. I know this is something people want to talk about. He got traded to the Carolina. Give me 1 second. So what I want to do, I want to pull up my third monitor because I don't know why I didn't pull this up. I'm not thinking. But I want to put this on the screen so people can see it. There we go. All right. Yeah. He's been traded to the Panthers for a 6th round, a 2nd and a 4th next year, I think.
Yep.
I think the Panthers got a better deal out of this. What do you think about that? Or before we get anywhere else with this trade?
Well, the Panthers pretty much get a quarterback that they really wanted. I'm like, right now they're looking to trade Bridgewater. They're allowing him to explore possibilities for a trade partner. So they got the quarterback that they were looking for. I know there were other teams that were pictured with making this trade. I think Washington was included before we got Fitz. And some other teams, but Carolina got the quarterback that they wanted, somebody they can build up off of. That's not like that hasn't peaked yet. Versus Bridgewater is already peaked. He's at the downside, and the injury kind of accelerated his downside. So
sadly, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, so they're allowing Bridgewater to seek a trade. And he's Darnold's gonna have plenty to work with. He wasn't the one that was broken. It was the Jets organization. I think a lot of people could clearly see that. But you know, some people are gonna be like, "Nah, it's the rookie's fault," or the second-year guy. He just couldn't put it all together. I'm like, well, what did he have in New York? He only had like one weapon, and they got that weapon in his his final 2 years there.
Final 2 years. And then they finally get a decent running back. And I mean, well, I say a running back that can catch out the backfield, and they rarely used Le'Veon Bell like the North, like
until they let him go.
Right, you know what I'm saying. So it's like Sam, like me and Bills were saying this, and we were saying that Sam Darnold was not the problem in New York, not at all. I mean, you just can't give a guy like inept weapons and think that he's the guy. I mean, being a good quarterback goes hand in hand. You got a quarterback can be only but so good if a receiver can't get open, or you just don't have a security blanket. You don't have a decent running game. Don't have an offensive line. I mean, no, I don't care how good you are. If you don't have any of that, it doesn't matter. So with him going to the Panthers, I think it's going to be a fresh start. I think it's going to be a really good outlook for him. And with him playing with McCaffrey, you got a couple of good receivers. I think he's going to be pretty good. So I think it's a pretty good move, and he's jumping into our division in Atlanta. And it looks like right now, I'm gonna be honest, like Atlanta's gonna be the dumpster fire of the NFC South, because either that or the Saints. And I'm almost like leaning towards the Falcons because we have no secondary at all. But I mean, that's another story for another day.
Right now there's an issue with Atlanta because don't they have the number 4 pick, and it's slated that most of the quarterbacks are going to be gone by their pick.
No, I'm glad you said that because we want to talk about the picks. Number 1, you have Trevor Lawrence supposed to be getting picked. And you got Zach Wilson maybe going to the Jets because Darnold is gone. Number 3 is San Francisco. They're talking about picking Matt Jones or Trey Lance. That leaves Justin Fields at number 4. Now, what it does is that gives Atlanta a bunch of options. Do they want to go ahead and pick up? What's Justin Fields? Do they want to pick up Zach Pitts? Do they want to trade back and get more picks and still get Zach Pitts? What is it? Zach? What is not Zach? What the boy name is from Florida, the tight end? I know his last name Pitts. I know that.
I think it's Pitts. Zach Pitts.
Yeah, I think that's his name. I'm thinking about the quarterback, Zach Wilson. Kyle Pitts. See, I put him and the quarterback together. Kyle Pitts. So Atlanta they actually have a good bit of leeway, or they can make a lot of moves. Thank you, Complimentary. He said, Kyle. Thank you, DJ. They got a lot of movement right there. What they can do at number 4. Because they can still get, yeah, exactly. Zach Wilson, the QB, yeah, like because they can get Pitts probably like at number 9, and go ahead and trade and get more picks at number 4 if somebody else wants Justin Fields or Trey Lance, or because number 1, 2, and 3 is pretty much slated. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think San Francisco is going with Trey Lance. I think they are. It's either him or Mac Jones. But I'm leaning towards Trey Lance. But even then, you're going to have 2 quarterbacks there at number 4. Either Trey, you're going to have Trey or Fields, or you're going to have Mac Jones or Fields. And you're going to have teams that are going to be trying to jump up to get, that pick at that point, because all the quarterbacks aren't necessarily gone at that point. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Broncos move up at number 9. I don't know if the Lions, I don't think the Lions going to, they got Jared Goff, but you got a few teams that actually want to move up, but the Jets and the 49ers basically said, hey, we're going to try to get a future quarterback. And I don't see nothing wrong with it. I just hope the Jets are able to get more people around whoever they're getting, because the Jets have pretty much nobody on offense. As for Sam Darnold, I think he's going to be fine in Carolina. He got some pretty good weapons, so it's going to be interesting to see. It's a lot of QBs moved so far this year. Yeah. A lot. I'm gonna go back to this draft. No, go ahead.
It definitely has been a busy off season for QBs making the moves. Matter of fact, on the free agent list, Alex Smith is still sitting out there, and they were talking about that the Texans may look at him as a possibility if this thing with Deshaun Watson, which there's an update.
You know what? I'm about to go ahead. I'm gonna say something about it in a second. Go ahead.
And the update is now 2 of the accusers have stepped forward and now are public. We know their names, and to me, it proves one thing: Watson's lawyer called their bluff. I know me and VF, we talked about this in the DMs, kind of we were on different sides of this, but I felt like that with Hardeen, which is Watson's lawyer, allowing massage therapists that were in support of Deshaun Watson go out there and put their name on what they were saying. I felt like it was going to force the other side to do the same, and this is what's going on. So, this is going to get interesting real quick. As me and Bills were kind of talking about it beforehand, and it's going to get interesting real quick because now we have names on both sides. So it's just like each side stories are going to nullify the other.
I don't want to sit here and say that me and you are opposite ends. My main thing about it, I just never wanted in any situation, if you're accused of something, I never want other people to come forward to say, hey, we did something similar to this, but it was okay. That's my only thing about it. I mean, when somebody attacks your character, you normally want people to come forward to say something against the character. You don't want people to come forward and say, now I don't want to get too deep in the woods with this. You don't want anybody to come and say, hey, I gave this guy a massage as well and everything was fine. No, you don't have to say all that. All you have to say is, I've been with Deshaun and he's a good guy. Because when you say you've done some of the things that the other women are accused of, you can have a situation where people will try to poke holes in your argument and say, hey, you say that this was okay when you gave him a massage, but what about this, this, and this? And you don't want that person to come out that's supposed to be for you, come to find out that they're, lying for you. The best thing to do is just keep it simple and say, hey, he's a good guy. He doesn't seem the type of person to do this, and leave it at that. It's like you don't want to say, hey, I was with this guy at numerous amount of stores when we were looking at stuff, but at this time he didn't shoplift. Wait a minute. Just say you don't want to do that. You don't want to add to the problem. That's all I was saying.
But in addition to the women becoming public, they also publicized their statements in these letters to Watson that actually make it worse for them, because the way they wrote these letters was like it ruined their life. Now, I know in cases of, and I'm being careful when I say this because in today's society, even if you provide context, people will take it the wrong way. Hell, whatever. Even in cases of actual sexual harassment, molestation, and even that, I'm just
looking at the mock draft. We're gonna get into this in a second.
It takes the effect off of, like, I feel like actual cases. It takes the effect off of them when you have statements that are produced by these two women in this specific case, where it felt like the way they said that this has ruined their lives, they had panic attacks and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, but you didn't say no at the end of things. Those women that actually suffered because they didn't have a chance to say no, versus you guys in a profession had a chance to say no and did it anyway. So it kind of puts you in danger of being somebody who is willing to violate an ethical part of, as well as and doing this at the same time, trying to accuse the client of pushing ethical boundaries. So that's the core issue here, is about ethics in massage therapy, client to practitioner. If this is real, as both sides are saying it is, ethics is at the core of this. So that's why I felt like that Watson's lawyer called the other lawyer's bluff.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think we could talk about that another day. I think that is a very dangerous game. I get what you're saying, but it's a dangerous game, especially if this goes criminal. And I doubt it if it will.
It actually will. If
you don't want, like I said, you don't want to add evidence or add possible discovery to your case. That's all I'm saying. You never want to do that. If somebody's accusing you of stealing, you don't want to bring people around saying, "Hey, we was just looking around these other 20 times we was around." You don't want to do that. You just add more to the fire.
Yeah, but
the main thing is the main thing you would want to say, like, this guy doesn't steal. not saying, hey, we actually went out and looked at stuff, but we didn't steal. You know, you don't want to do that because it just caused more suspicion. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but both sides are open to that, so it's out there now. So we're here.
All right, let's look at this mock draft. One thing where the Deshaun Watson did come up in the why he came up in this situation, the 49ers, which I found that the 49ers and the Jets, and I think that's something that we actually wasn't really thinking about. 49ers, Jets, and Dolphins was at one point they were going to be the actual bidders to try to get Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
You notice that all three of these teams that wanted to get Deshaun Watson end up trading and doing other things.
Yep.
You see the Dolphins end up doing what they did. They said they're going to stick with Tua. They got a whole bunch of picks from Philly, and then they turned around. No, was it Philly? Who did they trade with first? Did they trade with Philly
Miami?
first?
I don't think it was Miami that traded with Philly. Or
yeah, Miami traded with Philly at one point, but before then they traded with somebody else because they ended up getting like 3 first rounds or something like that. Well, they traded to move around. They're sticking with Tua. You had the Jets who said they was going to try to get Deshaun Watson, not Deshaun. Yeah, they were going to try to get Deshaun.
I'm not doing a mock draft, so that's the end of that.
Yeah, we may go in more in depth like the week of, but I'm not doing a mock draft of our own.
Right.
We'll just look at other mock drafts and we'll give our own opinions because I don't have the time to actually go through all 32, possibly more picks. But I get what you're saying. Who else? The Jets. The Jets they wanted to get him as well, but they said, you know what, we'll just go with another quarterback of the future. They traded out and they end up moving Sam Darnold to Carolina. San Francisco actually wanted him as well, but they did the same thing. They said, look, Garoppolo is just going to have to he's going to have to compete with the quarterback of the quote unquote future. So in this mock draft, you got Trevor Lawrence going number 1, Zach Wilson from BYU to the Jets, Mac Jones number 3 to the 49, which I still think I think Trey Lance is the better pick, but that's another story for another day. They got him going to Alabama, and they have Atlanta getting Kyle Pitts. Let me tell you this. This is why I sat back in my chair when I looked at this. Trey Lance going to Denver, and they got Justin Fields falling all the way to number 11 to the New England Patriots. What are your thoughts about that?
You kind of confused me for a second because I know at first you were talking about the fact that these other teams that were looking at Deshaun Watson all of a sudden are pursuing.
No. I'm telling you, these are the teams they decided to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, because you had the Jets, they ended up getting Zach Wilson. They was going after Deshaun. Okay. 49ers also was going after him. They ended up going. They got the mock draft saying he's going to Mac Jones. The Dolphins, they said they were going to go after him. They're going to stick with Tua and possibly get Devontae Smith at number 6. That's the mock draft right there. But as far as other quarterbacks, Trey Lance is going to number 9 to Denver, and they got Justin Fields going to New England, saying that New England will trade up with the Giants at number 11, and they take Justin Fields. What are your thoughts about Justin Fields going up against Cam Newton for the starting job at New England?
Okay, this sounds like a 2-part question. So let me start with number 1, how this relates to Deshaun Watson. Houston management is just sitting there like, our job is done. He is now unattractive to other teams. Now he is just stuck here. He has nothing but us to deal with. He is truly now going to be either a Texan or he's going to be blacklisted in the NFL because he's going to be buried under so many lawsuits and everything that Houston has initiated and been able to execute. Now, as far as Justin Fields and Cam Newton, that's an interesting battle if that's who New England is going to go after. To tell you the truth, I would go after Justin Fields I think Justin Fields will probably win that competition just for the fact because Cam Newton in the last few years, Cam Newton really hasn't been accurate enough to maintain any starting job, especially in New England, where you have to be very accurate in order to, run the offense. Even Cam on his own admitted that offense was a bit too complicated to really, understand without training camp, mini camp, and all these other things that they didn't have due to COVID conditions. So now that Cam Newton will have a training camp, mini camp, and stuff like that, a modified version of it, because it's not going to be full on. I think he'll be a little bit better, but I still think his accuracy will still suffer to the point where he is susceptible for losing that job to a rookie, or maybe if they get another younger quarterback.
Okay. I'm about to put this in the chat, and I want to know what everybody thoughts. Y'all guys let me know what y'all think about a possible Fields versus Newton battle if he does go to the New England Patriots. I think Justin Fields is going to win that job easily.
Yeah, I'm like,
I think he's going to win that job easily.
It's supposed to be Justin Fields. If New England winds up picking Justin Fields will probably be the starter day one. Cam Newton,
and I'm not saying that because he's number 11, although he'll be the number 11th pick. I just think that Fields just will beat him. I think Fields will beat him in easily. And there's nothing against Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton's been in the league 11 years now, 10 years now. I just feel that Cam is. He looks everything a part of a starting quarterback, but his production just doesn't show starting quarterback, and it is to the point where visually it's hard to see him as a backup. You know what I'm saying? He just have this presence about him that don't look like he would be a backup. It just seems like he'll be more of a starter or bust, and I don't even know how that'll play out if he does have to sit on the bench. I don't know if it'll create a QB controversy, because I don't think Cam Newton's that kind of guy. It's just that it's just hard for me to see Cam Newton as a backup quarterback. I've always seen him as a starter, and for him to possibly fall to that is inevitable in my opinion. Spec Pooh says Fields is winning. I believe that. Optimus Goob on Twitch, he says Newton's going to be on a short leash. Soon as he starts thinking it up, Fields will be in there. So basically, he says that Newton's going to be the starter, but probably by week 3 or 4, Fields going to be playing. Based on Josh Daniels' offense, I possibly could see that, because this would be another year under Cam Newton, knowing the offense, and Fields maybe just learning it. But then again, Fields could be a natural and just pick it up easily. And if that's the case, Fields going to be the starter by week 3 preseason. So it's going to be interesting. But what Goob said does kind of make more sense, because I don't know anything about I wish Bill would know. I don't know anything about Belichick actually starting a rookie quarterback that early. I don't know that. Maybe I don't. Maybe
the only person he did that with was Tom Brady, and that was because Drew Bledsoe.
It was an injury though. Yeah, that was an injury issue.
But either way, when Drew Bledsoe was fine, he kept him in there.
Yeah, after the fact, I totally understand that, because Brady actually played pretty good after the fact. But I'm just talking about how was it in practice, like prior to Tom Brady coming in? It was Tom Brady actually? This is a question that we may never know. But during the time that he was there and Bledsoe was the starter, how was Brady in practice? Was Brady actually doing really good or whatever? Or as soon as he stepped on the field, it's like all of a sudden Brady became like this Don quarterback? And I don't know. It's just like, it's really weird, because even if Brady was, I ain't gonna say showing up, but if he was playing equivalent to Bledsoe in practice, it goes back to show you, like, Newton's going to have to, Fields going to actually have to really outshine Newton, because if he's like anywhere close to what Newton's doing in practice, he may end up sitting on the bench.
Well, I was about to say, you have to look at the fact that Brady was a low round draft pick. That was the second quarterback.
We're talking about him going at 11.
Yeah, the first one to come in after a Drew Bledsoe injury and stuff like that. I'm sure there was a clear separation between the two, But by the
Right.
time Tom Brady got used to playing, of course, you could see on the field that it slowly started coming together. And a lot of times you just go with the guy who's hot. And even when Drew Bledsoe came back from injury, Tom Brady had caught fire by that point, and it's like, you know what? There's no point in putting Drew back in. And Drew was at the end of his career anyway. This is kind of like a similar situation, except instead of getting a low round draft pick, you're gonna get a high round draft pick.
It's going to be
Possibly.
interesting. I'm with you. It's interesting to see how that's going to play out because this is kind of like a different dynamic because now, Brandon Fields is not being drafted in the 6th round, so it's going, it's going to be, it'll probably be more pressure to even start him because he's getting taken in the 1st round, not even in the upper half of the 1st round. So it's not like, oh, he's number 26 or 28 being picked because even when you draft a quarterback that late in the 1st round, you do have some type of leeway to say, hey, we're going to sit this guy for a little bit and see how it plays out. But when you draft somebody this high, it's going to be more of a urgency to put him on the field and see what he can do. I mean, look at Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes was picked number 10 or something like that. So this is just one pick behind. So
And in his case, he had Alex Smith in front of him, which they wound up trading because they could see the upside was going to eclipse Alex Smith. So,
but they had the chance to be really conservative with that though, because nothing would surprise me to say that Pat Mahomes, with his talent compared to Alex Smith, was actually outshining Alex Smith. But the fact you had the luxury to sit him, it really helped in the long run. Because, I mean, you look at the talent of Pat Mahomes. I mean, like I said, this is not something that just happened, as soon as he started as soon as he was the starter.
right.
He probably showed this, like, in practice. It was like, yeah, he can do all of this, but we have this layover where we can actually use Alex Smith or play Alex Smith for a year and still be somewhat successful. And whatever happens from there, we can jump over and move over to, to Pat Mahomes. So it's a really good luxury to have. And I think that in a sense, I kind of wish the Falcons would do with their quarterback situation with number 4, but everything is leaning towards like, hey, we're going to probably draft this tight end, let Matt Ryan play for another 2 years, and probably find another quarterback later on in 2023, which is okay because, Matt Ryan is not all the way washed up, but he is getting older. But
Well, that's the funny thing. It used to be the standard thing. You get a high draft pick or you get a future at whatever position, you at least have a veteran in front of them that's capable of at least showing them the ropes, if not intentionally, but just through just playing.
You know what killed that, right?
Oh,
Brett Favre killed that.
I don't think he necessarily killed that. I think it's the fact that I think it has to do with where collegiate quarterbacks are more NFL ready than they've had been before. With the previous generation, because remember, we at the time in the 90s, you had quarterbacks that were being drafted that were running gadget offenses half the time, running the option. I remember Heath Schuler got picked. It was a high round draft pick. He was running the option, and all of a sudden they threw him in. I think day 1 as the starter, and he couldn't run shit.
I won't say that. What's wrong, baby? Where's the orange? Where's the orange? I don't know.
Hey, what's up, JV?
Where's the orange? I don't know.
See in the chat.
I don't know. He asked me where's the orange. I don't know. I won't say that a lot of quarterbacks now.
Well, they're running more pro style in college, so
I will put it like that. I don't think they're NFL ready. I think they're trying to use some of their college skills in the NFL, like a Lamar Jackson or even with Pat Mahomes. I mean, some of the plays that they're using with him, they even tried it with Joe Burrow for a little bit when he came to the league. I'm trying to think who else that came in the league. Like they even tried it with Tua for a little bit. Like hell, they even tried it with the guy, Deshaun Watson. Like some of these guys, they're trying to play to the strength what worked for them in college. So if you're talking about NFL ready, I think the last few quarterbacks that was truly like quote unquote NFL ready, like right now you got Trevor Lawrence. You can even go further back, even 10, 11 years. Well, yeah, I'd say about 10, 12 years. Flacco, Matt Ryan, and this is an answer to the question of Spec Poo he put up. He said, "Is it me or teams do not sit quarterbacks anymore?" No. What happened with that was as soon as Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco had they had like really good success their rookie years, everybody was trying to do it all of a sudden. Because before then, you put guys in because like if they're like the top 4 or 5 picks and they was making that Sam Bradford money, you had to put them in back then. But now it's like sitting them. They're not sitting them to teach them anything now. They want them to come in, and if you find a few that have success, like even with RG3 when he came in, I mean they played to his college strengths. It's like I'm not necessarily saying that they're NFL ready, because I think the league itself is evolving to where they're trying to bring some of the college game to the NFL. I mean, I'm not even talking about a quarterback situation. Look at I'm about to say Ed, but Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey came to the Panthers and they literally tried to run a college style offense with Cam Newton and McCaffrey. They didn't even try that with Cam Newton before he came in the league. So it's not just catered to the runner. I mean the quarterback. I mean Alvin Kamara is another one. Mm-hmm. They try to open up the game plan to more of a collegiate level, but I just think. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say, there definitely is a merging of styles of offense between the college and the pros. That's right. What I mean by NFL ready.
I got
versus
you. I got
the previous generation.
I got you. Because see, back then, like you were saying, like back in the early, even from as late as the early 2000s, mm-hmm. you needed to be a quarterback that could stand in the pocket and have QB vision. No pun intended, Madden. You had to have QB vision and throw the ball from the pocket. If you were one of those guys, you were NFL ready. Like what's that guy named that like? And there really wasn't NFL ready. Like a Tim Couch, or you had a Ryan Leaf, Peyton Manning. You had those types that actually was those are the quarterbacks that you look for. Now, I think, like I said, with Flacco, you can even put Eli Manning, Roethlisberger, even Matt Ryan. Those are like the last quarterbacks that you really wanted to be that type of quarterback. From there, you started wanting to get more mobile quarterbacks, guys that can move around a little bit, and not necessarily run the pistol like Spec Poo was saying, but you wanted a guy who can move around a little bit and extend the play. And I think that's what more scouts was looking for. And then, like you said, they merged the two together. That was 2010, 2011. They started merging two together where you can move not just move around based on the quarterback's play calling, or the play calling for the quarterback to move around. They was actually having formations for it. Like who said the pistol offense. In some cases, they're actually even running the option in some cases. So, and then that goes back to go ahead.
I was about to say, with the pistol formation, I'm like, it's not necessarily the options that you run out of it. Definitely you can run straight up, like dive plays, off tackle and stuff like that. You actually see it more often than not. I don't know what Pooh's looking at. Maybe because his team doesn't run it.
I think what happened was
they actually were in position to run it a lot.
Yeah, I think the thing is they evolved from the read option to actually move into more plays, like you said, off tackle, dive, pitch plays, screen plays coming out of the pistol formation. It's a lot that you could do out of it instead of just a read option. And I think even Colin Kaepernick, when he was in the league, and they were trying it with him as well. So, yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah, because from the pistol, you can still run a straight up play action pass.
Yep.
But again, I think with the NFL, you have to have the quarterback that can operate from the pistol, but you're not going to see a pistol as the standard offense. That's not going to happen. You're still going to have your standard shotgun. You do see the spacing reduced a little bit so they can run the RPOs as far as between the quarterback and the center. In the shotgun, it'd be like what? Instead of like it used to be like standard almost like 7 yards behind the center. Now you see quarterbacks.
It's more like 5 or 3.5 yards behind now.
Also notice that sometimes there's off, like the quarterback's up a little bit, and the running back is slightly off to his left or right. behind them so they can run a dive. It's like a modified pistol. These little details is what you're missing, Pooh. They are kind of running pistol modified shotgun.
Yeah, and that's one of the beauties that you see with just innovation of play calling. I mean, you see it now with and it's one of the things that went away really quick, like the RPOs. You don't see too much of that, but that was a branch off not just the pistol, but even the spread. When they had the quarterback and the running back lined up right next to each other, mm-hmm. It was kind of like a branch off maybe it was branch off the pistol, because at first it was like a handoff and they'll fake the handoff and throw the slant route. Mm-hmm. So I like seeing play call innovation or play play formation innovation, and I don't know if we're going to see that sometime down the road. Before we get to the NFL, before we get to the NCAA Final Four, I do want to mention this for a minute. NFL 2K5 does have a mod, but my main problem with that mod is the game. I like playing the game, but the game feels so outdated because of the play formations. I don't know if they'll be able to mod that stuff in there, but I was playing it the other day and I'm like, yeah, this is like it's kind of like hard. It's like hard-nosed old man football in NFL 2K5. Don't get me wrong, like the game plays a great game of football, but there's no innovation. The game is from 17 years ago. It's from 2004. They don't have it doesn't have like the innovation that the NFL has today. And I think that's where NFL 2K5 is going to fall short with all this modding. But it'd be interesting to see. I just don't see them doing that like they're doing with NCAA 14, where they're literally putting new plays in the game. I don't see that happening in the game.
I tell you this much, there's nothing they can do about that trade logic. That trade logic was the single most destructive force in that game.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you guys haven't checked out the video, go check out the video. Also, check out the person who's doing the mod. I think it looks phenomenal. But I'm just looking at like what they're able to do. I don't think the game holds up very well as far as play. I mean, Madden 08 on the PC, or even their modding. I think Pooh was playing NCAA 06. Even that format of Madden or football, that holds up very well, because for the most part, the play call in that game was way more innovative than 2K5. I think 2K5 is just more of an upfront style football game, which is if you're hard nosed upfront type of gridiron football, that's your game, and I'll never knock anybody for playing it, because I think it's a great game. It's just that there's no innovation at this point. It's just, I think if you're still playing it, it's kind of like like how back in the old days and the guys was playing football, they had like these set of rules that they played by back then, and they still play it because they think it's still the way to go. Like like back then, I think it was at one point they didn't do forward passing in football, like something like that, and they still play that way because they feel like
I remember that.
Yeah, and they feel like that's the way to play. Like 2K5 is starting to get in that realm where, all right, we can see that this game was at a certain time based on the way it's ran. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do that. Javon Dillingham, thank you for coming through. I meant to say something earlier, but I was rambling as usual. Appreciate you coming through. Thanks everybody who's been watching so far. The viewership has been great, and the feedback has been doing pretty good. I'm gonna check out a couple of Spec Pooh said besides which worked out brilliantly. Yeah, we just talked about that with
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith, yeah, we talked about that. Preliminary Sports said it all depends on the coaching of the team. The NFL draft is a shadow. I can't remember what you was trying to get to, but yeah, I do agree.
They talking about the situations where you get like a veteran quarterback and you draft a quarterback.
Right.
The layover in which that drafted quarterback gets a chance to sit back versus the ones that are coming in right away.
Yeah, I think that I just think that the veteran QBs that are around now, they just don't stay around now. I mean, look, when we talk about veteran quarterbacks, we're talking about the ones that have been around since like the 2010s. And I'm not talking about like based on age. I'm just talking about like if you're You should still be a veteran quarterback if you started playing in 2013. But most of those quarterbacks aren't even around anymore like that.
But
You know what I mean?
I think, but there's an issue, and I know it's in the fan base of all these teams, but also the mentality of looking for a franchise quarterback, but quickly dumping a quarterback after year 1 and 2. That's counterproductive, and you're not going to have many veterans because they're going to be out of the league because year 1 and 2 didn't go perfect. So
right.
that's kind of
Your
crazy.
quarterback, your average quarterback don't even stay around for no more than maybe 4 years at max. I mean, you look at what happened with Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston was a prime example of that. And I mean, I get it. You end up getting Tom Brady. Yeah, Winston's going to be out of there. But what if they weren't able to get him? Would he still be around?
See, but here's the thing. This is where you keep a Winston, because what if Tom Brady goes down? Who's after him right now? Nobody.
Josh Rosen?
Who the hell is he? That's one of them quarterbacks that teams quickly gave up on. I really
they literally gave up on that guy after 1 year. He was number 10 overall pick. And as soon as Kyler Murray was available, they ditched him like immediately. That dude has not had a fair shake in the NFL. And to be honest with you, I don't think Josh Rosen was that bad. I think he just never had a chance. And you talk about his stint in Miami. I mean, like, what do you expect? You just threw him out there.
And this was a situation where Jameis Winston, all he has to do is get corrective eye surgery. This kind of reminds me when we got rid of Carlos Rogers, and then he went to San Francisco, turned into a Pro Bowler. Guess what? They corrected his vision problem. That's why he was dropping all those interceptions while he was with Washington, because he couldn't see straight. He had one eye looking this way and the other eye looking that way. The ball was like there were two balls flying at him. Pause. But they was trying to catch them both. So it's one of those things where players, not just at the quarterback position, but at all the skill positions, not necessarily linemen, but I would say even linemen too, and on defense, need time to get used to the league in order to get a foothold so they can play a lot longer, play better, and hopefully they improve from there. It was like, let them at least make it through their rookie contract. God damn.
But this is what I've been saying. This is what I've been saying. Like, I know Bills was talking about this about the elite quarterbacks. So like a lot of these guys aren't even get a chance to be elite. Because if and this is why I said about what I was saying about the contract. Like, if you're going to get a guy on a rookie contract, go ahead and try to snatch everybody enough weapons around him while you can, because you don't know if he's going to become elite. But by the time you have to pay him just because he's done 4 years in the league, he may be a little bit better at best, and you got to give this guy $40, maybe $35 million. You're not going to be able to pay anybody else. Like, you're not going to what's his name? Pat Mahomes, they're not going to walk through the door every 4 years. You see what I'm saying? I mean, we're looking at Trevor Lawrence. You're looking at Zach Wilson. You're looking at Mac Jones. You're looking at these guys. Who's to say all three of these guys are going to be worth the 30, 35, 40? And by the time their contract time is coming, we're probably talking about like $55 million a year. Because right now, Pat Mahomes at 45. So you're talking about another 5, maybe 6 years down the road. These guys could be demanding $55 million a year. And which of these honestly, the chat, let me know which one of these quarterbacks would you think? You know, and nobody can predict the future, but which one of these quarterbacks you think is going to be garnering that kind of money in 5 years? Honestly.
And it's funny, talk about other quarterbacks that were given up on quickly. And, you know, some will say it was a good reason they gave up on him, but I don't think so. RG3.
Right.
He gets injured in his rookie year, still with one leg, leads them to the NFC East Championship, and they wind up unfortunately losing the game against Seattle. But folks were starting to give up on him in the middle of year 2.
And all he did was like he sprained his LCL or something like that, right?
No, he didn't sprain. He tore everything in that knee.
Oh, he tore everything. I didn't know it was that bad.
Yeah, it was that bad. It was bad when. No,
I didn't know. I thought it was just an LCL sprain. LCL sprain. I didn't know he tore his ACL. I didn't know that.
He tore everything. Like he re-injured it during the playoff game at the end, where that picture where it looks like the leg's going one way, the knee's going the other. Yeah,
Okay, so that's when he tore it, or was it that was
that's the
afterwards?
re-injury.
Okay,
He
I
injured
got you.
it when he went sliding, and somehow half his body flipped up in the air, and Nada ran into his knee.
Right, that's the one I was talking. That's why I thought where he sprained it. I didn't know he tore it at that point. I
No,
thought
he
it was a
tore it.
sprain.
It was
Okay,
torn because he was
I
wearing
got
that
you.
big ass brace that looked like shackles for runaway slaves. Because I swear, with that thing on him, he couldn't move, and he was forced to mature a lot faster than he was supposed to be. And I think
Right.
that's where people were like, there were other factors that people gave up on. They didn't like the fact that his parents were involved, which I don't understand. With especially with black males, you want their family involved, mother and father. It's kind of rare to see that in today's
Right.
day and age. But all of a sudden, Skins fans, well, they were Skins fans, they're a different team, rallying against RG3's parents, but they allowed some undercover racist preacher and Kirk Cousins' father to run rampant throughout the
Okay.
fan base. So,
Okay. This what happened. It said that game against the Ravens, he sustained a grade 1 LCL sprain.
no,
Then let's see. Hold on.
that's what they reported, but that's not
The injury emerged as controversy on the 6th. Contrary to the previous statement made by head coach Mike Shanahan, Dr. James Andrews have not cleared the return post-injury play in December 9th game. Griffin then re-injured his knee in the wildcard loss to the Seahawks. He underwent surgery January 9th on both his LCL and ACL. They were both repaired. Okay, I see what you're saying now.
Right. He had injured it in that Ravens game.
Right.
And it wasn't a sprain. He tore that shit and played.
Okay.
He played
I
a few
got you.
plays afterwards.
I'm just telling you what it says.
No. Trust me, because at the time, people were confused about what was being reported versus what we were actually seeing. We were seeing this man limping down the field, couldn't put any weight on it. We knew that shit was torn in that game. He missed the game against the Browns, in which Kirk Cousins played well. And then he came back for the Dallas game, which he was clearly limping, like majorly. Like he scored a touchdown on a run, but he hobbled his way in there. So you mean to tell me somebody for sprain, depending upon his pain tolerance, which was very high, by the way, for him to limp that much, even with that brace on, yeah, he was in danger the whole entire time. And some folks were like, "Oh, he pressed the issue because he was afraid Kirk Cousins would take his job." When in fact, he was just showing you guys he's a tough. He can play through pain. That's all he was trying to prove. I don't know, but again, I leave that to Shanahan. I leave that for management that left that decision to a rookie quarterback, which is crazy. You don't leave a decision like that to.
He was just waived by the Ravens this year. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, his time in the league is about run out. So
yeah, he's been in the league for 8 years.
But it's
hard to believe that. It don't seem like he's been there for 8 years.
Yeah, but he's been a good mentor for Lamar Jackson, though.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that. Now that I do, yeah, I've heard a lot about that.
Yeah, just wish RG3's passing skills would translate to Lamar Jackson a little bit more.
Yeah, because a lot of people who hate don't want to admit it. RG3 was actually a pretty good passer.
Very lethal passer.
Yeah, he was a pretty good passer. Looking at his numbers, a high upper 60s. Yeah, he was a pretty good passer. Mm-hmm. Let's get into the Final Four. I don't want to talk about the entire thing because I haven't been following it, but a lot of people have been saying that this has possibly been one of the most entertaining Final Fours this in a while. With a lot of upsets, and you had Baylor beating Gonzaga when Gonzaga looked like they were going to be the runaway, and all that good stuff. What do you think about just all the scenarios, the 11 seeds winning and a couple of other upsets, and look at what happened to Ohio State, and you saw what happened to a couple of other teams. What and the way it finished? What are your thoughts about the NCAA Final Four?
Okay, right out the back, both versions were very entertaining, the men and the women. especially during the Final Four. But I felt like Gonzaga was softened up by UCLA because they barely got by UCLA. If somebody just flashes a little bit better, I think we're going into overtime in that game. You had teams that haven't been in there for a while that was in there, like Georgetown, made a brief appearance in the first round, got blown away by Colorado.
You know who else made a brief appearance?
What was that?
Appalachian
State. Yeah, that school. They were in the playing game and they got played out.
Goat loving fools.
So, and it's funny because UCLA was in the playing game.
Yeah, they were, and they played their heart out. They played pretty good.
UCLA wound up being the story of that tournament on the men's side. Now, as far as on the women's side, it felt like, the big story before that was the disparaging view of the gyms between the men and the women. That was crazy. But as far as the games themselves, they were very entertaining. A little controversial as far as one of the endings. The ending to because the women from Baylor got bounced.
Yeah, wasn't that girl like mugged or something?
Yeah, she got. They missed the call like crazy, and they're like,
they had their elbow on her face, like hands on the ball, like they had like their breasts on her neck. It was
wow. And it caused their coach to go on a rant after the game, and that's where that whole thing about her talking about they need to stop the COVID testing for both the men's and the women's Final Four because these athletes were being tested every single day. You got to understand that this was a Final Four for both sides that never been under these conditions where like each region were playing in 4 different bubbles. It wasn't like because remember in the past. The first 2 rounds, they would be at one arena for each region. So technically, it was like 8 arenas that they would play in for the whole thing. And then the Final Four would make it the 9th arena they would play in. Or I think they were, whatever the case may be. But each region was playing in their own bubble. And then the Final Four was played wherever it was played. But there was COVID testing done every single day. We saw one team get knocked out due to that was crazy right there. Yeah, she definitely got fouled.
And look at old girl in the corner. She knew what time it was.
Like this is bullshit.
Yeah, the girl in the corner. She knew what time it was. Like, look at this bullshit.
Right. So, what was it? The team on the men's side that got knocked out due to COVID. I forgot which team it was, but it was just one of those situations where they caught it despite all the testing. I'm glad the testing caught it, but the team had to bow out because they weren't going to have the players, and another team moved on because of it. So I thought that coach's rant on the women's Baylor's team was ridiculous, but she was at first mad at the fact that this wasn't called a foul. I'm like, this is clearly a foul. If you see it in motion, this is clearly a foul.
Yeah, that's basketball.
And I think also in the women's Final Four, we saw a lady try to take on a whole team and trying to throw up the final shot, which winds up costing them, I think, the national championship, or at least
basketball.
Winds up costing them the national championship. So
right.
Because I forgot who won it on the women's side. We already know
that
Baylor beat the crap out of Gonzaga.
Yeah, Stanford won the one on the women's side. Stanford won the one. Yeah.
But I think they were playing Arizona.
Complimentary says that it was better than college football. What do you think?
Yes, clearly better. It was much.
I could agree with that because I was looking at the game last night when I was streaming, and I was looking at how Baylor was just beating up on Gonzaga, and I was just amazed. I see you too.
Yeah, so that was the crazy part. Gonzaga just getting murdered like they were. Like the main thing was disparaging stats at the 3-point line. Baylor was just bombing from way downtown. Just
they say Baylor shot like that all season. That was not a fluke.
Yeah, and also for the fact that they could field 3 point guards on the floor at the same time. You have 3 ball handlers on the court at the same time. It's going to be damn near impossible to defend all that, especially if your team is mostly tall and lanky on the other side with Gonzaga. So, yeah. Like the overall Final Fours on both sides was just crazy, and I think it was also fitting they paid tribute toward Williams because he retired.
He did retire. What a career for that guy.
Yeah, so he definitely got that spot in that shining moment, and that's another thing. When's the last time we didn't get a shining moment from last year because we didn't have a Final Four for anything?
Yeah, I think they didn't have a Final Four last year. You're right.
So we get to view the shining moment music video as we always do for. I don't know. I'm trying to remember when did that start? When we start using that song and putting together all the highlights? Because
I know, but I don't know.
Just think if we did a video game, college basketball video game, would they be able to? That would be a lot of data tracking information to be able to put together all the clips. I think they would start small and be like, look, just put together the clips from the final game you just played in the championship, and then you run the clips with this song in it. That would be tight. But yeah, it was nice to actually get that at the end of this tournament.
Come on, get up, boy. He up under the desk playing with the computer.
Uh-oh.
You want this? Here you go.
Hopefully he doesn't hit his head.
I know, right? Here. You want to play with the controller? There you go.
I've been under a desk many times searching for things, and I forget where I'm at. And boom.
Man, tell me about it. Who hasn't been there? I think this was a good thing for college basketball. I mean, because I think this is something. It's one of those situations where, remember how the Last Dance was last year, where people just needed an outlet to get away. Yeah, I think this is one of those moments where a lot of people was able to like enjoy sports without all the extra stuff they didn't really care about. Nobody in the crowd. It was just a lot of quality basketball, and I think that's something that with all the stuff that's been going on, the past 12 to 16, 18 months, maybe just something that the country needed, and I think it worked out very well. And they did a very good job of filling that void for people just had to be really entertained. And that's always a good thing.
Right.
And I'm glad that we was able to see that. Maybe, hopefully baseball will continue to carry over that. And then we'll be right back in the football season just like that. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
fast.
Well, I don't think baseball is going to carry that, but we already know that in certain states that stadiums are at full capacity.
You saw that in Texas? That was crazy.
Yeah. I'm just like
I said, I'm all for reopening, but when I saw that, I was a little bit nervous. I was like,
I'm just not like, especially here in Maryland, and Governor Hogan just opened up the floodgates as far as like testing, everybody being eligible. Now it's probably going to be pressure here to lift the mask mandate, and I'm just like, no. That's been the reason why we've been better than most states, because we've kept that. I'm like, we've increased capacity and stuff like that, but that mask is like the thing that's keeping it, especially we have all these variants running around. I'm like, we need to safeguard from those and at least achieve herd immunity before we start taking the mask off.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But yeah, when I saw that, I was like, man, it was just kind of unreal to see that because they haven't done that in over a year. And I was like, wow, I'm all for it. I don't have a problem. Like, do what you do. But when I saw it, I was like, wow, they actually did it.
You see, Young Noble is like Cubs and Sox in World Series. What is that going to take place in prison?
He said in prison. Shout out to Young Noble, man. He said he finally gave in and bought a Switch. I'm jealous because I don't have my Switch yet. Pooh, don't say nothing. Shut up. I don't have my Nintendo Switch yet. I need to get one. Speaking of that, oh, my son is crazy. My son just went in the room and cut on the light.
It's just like the Yankees and the White Sox. It's just like the Yankees and the Mets had the what is it called, the Subway Series. They call it
Subway Series. So I don't know what they're going to call it in Chicago.
To the Cell Block Series.
They call it the 63rd Series.
Oh boy. Like phone check series, pump.
Young Noble, what I mean when I say 63rd when it comes to Chicago. You know what I mean by that.
Crime solver.
Earth, Wind, and Fire versus Osley Brothers of Pain. Before we wrap it up, EWF all the way. I like Osley Brothers, but I grew up on Earth, Wind, and Fire. My mom, which I said I need to call her because she outed me out on Twitter, so I'm gonna call her once I finish this chat. I'm gonna finish this podcast. Earth, Wind, and Fire all the way. My mom used to have all the vinyls. I used to listen to it growing up. I have nothing against the Isley Brothers. I think they're great, but I just love EWF. They're just, that's my group.
This is gonna sound crazy to most folks, but they both sound the same to me. So I really don't have an opinion
Really?
versus concern. Because it's all from the same realm of good music. So I don't
True.
really want to pit them against each other like this versus. So it's just like I just consider them the same. I'm like, I hear Ronald Isley and I hear Earth, Wind, and Fire, and they appear the same, and it's all good. And I'd rather keep it that way.
I get where you're coming from. I think they're slightly different. Compulsive Footballer, good to see you. You don't come around much, so I always try to get his question in. Let me move this so DJ be on the screen. He said, question, I have been playing Live 19, but I don't know. There are too many canned animations going on. It's an okay game, but live is what live is the best to you two guys? I know it's live, but I still want to give it some love.
15.
Yeah, go with 15. 15, the canned animations in 15 are less apparent. So if you're playing on the current console that you're playing 19 on, go with 15.
And
I think
you don't have to deal with that goddamn weapon wheel playbook. You can just get right to the playbook, call the plays, and it'll go to the player that you called the play for.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Live 19, I do enjoy it, but 15 is my favorite one of the generation. I've been waving a flag for Live 19 ever since it came out. And people keep trying to tell me, oh, 16, 18, 19. No, 19 is okay, but 15 is the game in my opinion. I love 15. 15 is my favorite one. Young Noble also says, I hope DMX pulls through. I agree. There have been mixed reports about him being on life support and off life support. I don't know. What is it? Is he off? Is he on? We need to find. Let me pull this up and find out.
Compulsive, avoid 16 at all costs. That's all I'm gonna say about Live 16.
No, do not buy 16. No, absolutely not. Don't.
No, just avoid it. Don't even bring it up again. I don't want to ever hear 16 as far as Live is concerned ever again.
Yeah, don't. Yeah, I'm with you. Don't. All right.
I know Noble just
nobody. There's nothing new about last ones they're saying is like 2 days ago.
I thought I saw a picture where this is with TMZ, and TMZ is always breaking stuff. I thought I saw a picture where he had his finger crossed like this, but he had his eyes closed. So I didn't know what to think about that picture. I don't know if that's like a previous picture of him being in the hospital from like way back, or because he's been in the hospital multiple times. Obviously, this one is probably going to be it for him. So,
Compulsive Footballer, play 16 one time and you'll see what we mean. But don't do it. Don't do it, but do it. I really don't want to get into the extra stuff that they're saying on here on Yahoo. I don't want to, because I don't want to end this podcast on a bad note, but go and look up his name on Google and just look at the things that's being said about him based on the last 11 hours, 4 hours, 7 hours. He's still living. Everything's good, but I just don't want to put that out there in the atmosphere on this podcast. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that, Young Noble. They say he's a vegetable, but that's what they're saying. I'm not going to really put it out there what the news is saying.
I'll look at it like this.
Put it like that.
I'm prepared for either him to pull through, because there's only two ways this will come out. Either he pulls through or he doesn't. And I'm prepared for if he doesn't. Because it's one of those things where
I don't want to laugh, but the way you said that was like so basically like either or. What? It's like, yeah, hey man,
you only got two choices. You're gonna live or die. That's the type of message he would perpetuate in his songs.
Yeah,
either gonna live or gonna die. So that's the way I'm gonna treat it. He put it out there, and it's one of those things where I'm not gonna hang my hat on what this media is gonna speculate about. Either he's gonna live or he's gonna die. If he dies, be easy.
Yahoo put out the worst out of everything that's out there, and I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to say what it is, but if you go to Yahoo, you will see what's going on with DMX, and I'll just leave it at that because I don't want to put that out there in the air. I just not on this podcast. I just hope he pulls through. I'll just leave it at that. I don't have anything else. DJ, you want to do your outro before we go?
Okay, so I know there was chatter about Godzilla versus King Kong earlier, and just to let you guys know that tomorrow on What the Fuck Just Happened, I will be talking about Godzilla versus Kong, and make sure you guys tune in on Twitch and YouTube. But for those that want to know where I'm at on Twitch, I'm at EVO325 over there, and then obviously on YouTube, under DJ81 or Derek Jordan, whatever you want. So what the fuck, episode 22. We'll start off with that, but we're gonna take a serious tone, and we're gonna talk about social anxiety. That was an idea that was brought to me by Bills, and I'm like firsthand, we all have issues with that. So I think it'd be good to, after talking about Godzilla versus Kong, that we definitely talk about that, because I think it definitely needs a platform to be talked about on. So I will be talking about that tomorrow. I go live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll probably be a little bit sore because I would have gotten that first shot for the Pfizer vaccine. So I don't know if I'm going to be like doing this throughout there, or I don't know, I may be drugged up. I don't know. One of those things. But either way, appreciate everybody coming through tonight. It was a good show, good conversation in the chat, good topics, and looking forward to to be back here again on Thursday.
Yeah, once again, man, I appreciate everybody who came through. You guys have been great. I really appreciate the feedback and the people who have been watching. Pretty good viewership on both Twitch and YouTube. Really appreciate it. And I really thank you guys for the support. Once again, if you haven't already, you can go check out the Patreon. You can check out the Teespring link. You can go check out the VF Cast channel. Check out DJ's channel. Also, I think what else am I missing? Let's see. The Facebook page. If you haven't already, you can go over there. Just type in VF Ball. I should pop right on up. Also, the Discord. We have two Discords. One is the Discord for First and Framerates. That's more of the sports genre type stuff. My Discord is more just plain gaming. I talk about all kind of stuff over there. We talk about Animal Crossing and Monster Hunter and all the other stuff. So if you're down with the sports stuff, that's what this Discord is for. On the VF Discord is more on the just strictly gaming stuff. So all that stuff is right there. So we're going to get up out of here Tuesday, April 6th. We're going to be back on April 8th on Thursday. And DJ, you had something else you want to say?
Yeah. Scott OG, winners do what on season openers?
Is he here? Let me see if he's here. Let me look.
I don't know if he is, because we all know the Dodgers lost their season opener. I don't know.
It's showing he wasn't on Twitch today. It doesn't show.
Because
he's not one of the users.
Get on here. Real champions, the last real champions of the major leagues, not the bubble champion Dodgers. Bubble pop, bubblegum pop. COVID-19 playing little league season, 60 games. Winning championships. No.
Wow, Mr. Ham. So you must be watching the stream last night. We're gonna get up out of here real quick. But Ms. Ham must was watching the stream last night, because I think Preliminary did call it out when we was doing the stream last night that the Baylor was gonna win. Either him or Antonio, one of the two. They called out that Baylor possibly could win, and that's when I was playing Remnant, and I was like, nah, I didn't see it coming. I didn't see Baylor beating them, and Baylor sure did. But yeah, we're going to be out of here, man. We're going to have more topics for you guys on Thursday. Thanks, everybody. Everybody from Spectacular Pooh to Young Noble. And everybody in between. Tadal, he might be driving tonight. Be careful out on that road driving the 18-wheeler. And everybody else, Mr. Ham, good to see you once again. We're going to get up out of here, and we'll see y'all on Thursday. You guys be safe. Take it easy. Peace.
Peace.
You in that hat.
Hey, we're champs. Boom.